I use these 8x10 canvas boards to play around with acrylic pours, and I have a ton of them. So I decided to pull out my paints and my brushes and finish them off so I can list them in my store. I'm self-taught, so I don't know if I'm doing it right, but this is my process. I hope you enjoy. Hi, I'm Christine, the artist behind Darlyssa Designs, and I'm happy you're here. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I have today some of the canvas boards that I've created, just playing around with acrylic pours, and I didn't know what to do with these. This one I'm actually gonna maybe put on my website. This is from another video that I created. I'll link it in the description below. Here's another one. Kind of feel like it goes this way, the bubbles going up. So I don't know, maybe a mermaid or something. This one too. I just love these colors. This one I started. I don't know how to finish it off, so I may play around with this one today. But I have so many of these that I need to finish them and get them out of here because I have so much stuff in my art room and I need to actually do something with them. So this one I chose for today, and I kind of sketched out a bird and some, I don't know what that's called. I don't know if those are cattails or, whatever. You see them in the swamps. And I believe that's an egret. I'm not sure. I don't know what it'll be when I'm done. And I'm just going to play around with this board and see if I can paint something nice over it. Okay, I want the bird to be the same kind of blues, but I mixed a little, actually I'm mixing as I go. And to be clear, I don't know how to paint. I'm just doing it. So it's just playing, and I learn as I go. So today I didn't know what to film. I'm a little bit lost the last little bit with all the termite. We still have not had Terminex come and fulfill their contract with us. So we do have still termites coming out. And I have to keep everything dark, which means I can't work at night. And it's just basically been a nightmare. So today, I just haven't had a lot of time to plan out videos and kind of have an idea of what I want to do. So I asked myself this morning, what do you want to do? And this is what I want to do. I want to finish up some of these paintings that I have around and make some space. Also, because I need to sell some stuff. I really need to sell some stuff. So to allow me to continue working at home. So this will go up on the website. Probably take a few days for me to finish this, and not to finish it, but let it dry, and then I can seal it, and then I can list it on the website. I'm not going to frame it because it makes it really, a lot of people will probably want to pick their own frame. So there's that. But also it makes the shipping a lot more complicated. So I'm going to just let this be available. I feel like I need a little bit of brown here. How about some burnt sienna, because I have it here. I'm just going to put a little right here. So I don't need much. Just going to put a little in. What was I saying? Yeah, it just makes it easier to ship. Lighter, easier to pack up. I don't have to worry about anything breaking. And these are small. I believe this is let's see, it's a 8 by 10. Yes, I like that. A little brown in there. I may add some lighter green just for highlights. Yeah, it's just, do you ever get to the point where you just don't know what to do next? I feel like there's a roadblock everywhere I turn. However, I am really enjoying creating my book. I'm on chapter 11 right now. I'm going to put a little bit of blue in here, just as a reflection of the water. And then I'll let this dry and go back over it. Yeah, I'm actually enjoying reading my book again as I edit. So that's kind of fun. However, because my eyes aren't as good as they used to be, I can't just sit there and edit all day long. So I do have to kind of take breaks, and I want this to kind of feel like it's going around. I don't want to cover too much of the pour because it's so pretty. But I do want this to kind of feel like water. Again, don't judge. I don't know how to paint. I'm just winging it. Thinking. I feel like that's about where so this is his legs, and that is the beginning of the reflection. Give him a little joint there. So that's where his legs go in the water. And then I'll still do the gray, but let me add a little blue, because I feel like if this were the reflection, you'd have a little more of that. Well, that's a little too gray. Okay. Don't do that. I'm going to fix that. So let's try this again. Let's just do more blue. I'll do more blue, and then I'll go back and add some gray if it's not enough, or if it's too blue. Yep. All right, now I'll just put in a little gray. Let some of the blue show through. That's cool. I like that. I feel like these are a little bit too dark, so I'm going to put, instead of white, I'm going to go in, and this blue is not quite blue enough. Looks almost white on here, so I'll add a little more blue. And my whole plan when I paint, because I don't really know how to paint, is this kind of the same way I go about masterboards. Just keep layering. So if I cover up too much of this green and brown, I can go back and add it on top. And the cool thing is that I found, just like with masterboards, the more layers, the more depth. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But for me, it's very hard for me to follow a tutorial. That's why I kind of like just doing my thing, and I'm not teaching anybody anything. I'm just showing how I go through the process and learn, because I don't know, I think that's a thing for a lot of people. I have no attention span at all. I get frustrated. I get distracted. So for me, just picking up the paintbrush and playing is the best way for me to learn. And just put paint down wherever you think. Wherever you think it looks good. It looks a lot darker than it is in real life. Oh, I have this teal. We gotta put a little teal in here. Although I think I'm getting that teal effect with the colors that I'm mixing. But it makes me feel better to actually add some teal. I feel like the water's here. I need to take that out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get some water here. And I need a stiffer brush. I'm just scrubbing that paint off because I feel like it got put down above the water line. I could use a little alcohol, but I don't want to bring up the paint underneath. Let me just wipe this off. So there, probably not the right way to do it, but it's how I do it. And there we go. And I think as long as I have this flat brush here, I'm going to take a little bit of white and a little bit of blue, light blue. And before I forget, and I don't want to do too much, so I'm going to wipe some of it off and just lightly put a highlight. Oh, okay. I'm going to lightly put the highlight of the top of the water here. Now, I want to do something here where it goes in the water. So do I want to do green? I don't really want to do a lot of green. I'd rather do more brown and gray. There we go. Now where the water there. And because there's a little bit of ripple in the water, there. I think I'm going to try and do these with this brush too. I like it. A little bit of brown, a little bit of green. Let's see. Is this dry? Yes. So I'm just gonna little green, little brown. Again, I don't have my microphone anymore, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me talking here. There. I'm going to hold it up and see if I can get these. I need a little more paint. I want this to be really And I'll go back in and add some more. I don't want it to be that thick. All right, that's a start. I feel like these are too wide, but maybe it's just shadow and behind, and I'll go back and do, ooh, that's way too much. There, that's better. Cool, cool, cool. Some grass here. And then I'm gonna kind of angle it off. So reflection in the water. I am not an expert at that part, so I'm just trying to. There. Make it look like it's reflecting. Okay, and I feel like we need a little bit more. I'm going to turn this around and just kind of, yeah, I don't know if I love this brush. Let me wet it a little bit. I feel like that's the reason why. Okay, so now it's really thin. Oh, that's too much too. I don't like that one. Oh, but I kind of like what that just did. All right, now it's too brown, but I'm going to let it dry and go back. I'm going to put a little in the bird right there, but I'm going to wipe that off so it's kind of going behind it. And now I'm going to work on this bird. I'm going to do mostly white, a little bit of this blue. I got way too much paint for this. And I'm just going to go in and give him or her. I don't know what you are, birdie. I'm going to do a little bit of gray right where his wing comes down. The wing, let's just say the wing. Because I don't know how to tell. It's just a beautiful bird. Now I'm gonna put some of that up in the wing for some shadow. I've got a little too much there. It's okay, let's put it up. So I know a lot of you are journalers, junk journal, art journals. Do you ever paint in your journal, or do you like just flipping from magazines and using stickers and junk mail? I can't stick to one thing, if you haven't noticed. I like doing a little bit of everything and trying new things. Okay, I actually let it dry just a little bit. And I'm gonna try to put his eye in here, put the eye in here. That is way too big. I have a bad habit of trying to do this stuff without a reference. Sometimes the reference confuses me, but it is good to have something around when you're trying, especially when you're trying to put a face on something. But sometimes if I'm not really sure what I'm doing and I just want to play, but then I always go back and find a reference. And if I have a reference, sometimes I try and copy it too closely and I don't pay attention to shadows and where things should be. I just kind of want to feel it. I don't know if that makes sense. Is that a thing? I don't know. It's really difficult to do this and also talk. Okay, now he looks more like he's got a head. Or she, or whatever. Feel like way too much. I'm wondering if one of those fan brushes, I wish I had a smaller fan brush. My fan brush is quite large, but I feel like it would be kind of cool to just get in here and do some feathers. But I'm just trying to lay different layers in here so that the background is covered up behind the bird, because I don't want the background showing up in the bird's feathers, obviously. So I'm just getting the area covered right now. And then I'll let it dry for a few minutes and then come back. And instead of just covering it in solid, I like to go ahead and do this because you do get more shadow, more depth, I guess. Instead of just, I could go in and do one solid color, but and then come back and do different colors. So for instance, like I'll add a little light blue in here and do some light blue lines. So I think a good plan, if you don't really think you can paint, is pick up a paintbrush with some favorite colors and pretend like they're crayons. What would you draw if you were just a kid? I do that sometimes. I'm just going wherever there's something that's kind of above where the light would be. I'm just going in and adding a little bit darker color. I like to just jump in and kind of learn as I go. I remember things better that way. Once I've made a mistake, or if I see, oh, if I do the paint this way, that's what happens. So I like doing it that way. But then, it's good to go in and find a tutorial, and I'll mostly just watch the tutorial and not kind of follow along, but just listen and follow and watch somebody else create. And then that gives me ideas to go and try. But I have to do it myself to learn. Not everybody's like that. My mother is one of those people that took the game out and we all had to sit and wait for her to read the directions. Not just games, but everything. My mother, step by step. And my father was more, I think I'm more like my father in that sense, because he did the same thing I do. You just pick it up and play. And see what happens. So I will try on Monday to get back to Masterboard Monday. We're supposed to have an appointment with, too much. We're supposed to have, Terminex is supposed to come out tomorrow. I don't trust that. They're probably not going to come. I hope I'm wrong. It's just so frustrating when, when we were getting estimates for this last year, there were a couple of companies that we got estimates from, and they were all a lot of money, but we didn't want to skip on the quality of the service. And the one thing that sold us on Terminex is that they give you a 2-year warranty. And so we thought, okay, well, that's good. And that's the reason why we chose to go with them. And they weren't the cheapest, but they were the only one that was reasonable and also gave us the 2-year warranty. And now it's frustrating because they're not holding up to their end of the bargain. It's paid for. We paid for it all up front, had them do the service. It seemed like it worked. But I guess it didn't. Or we got it again. I don't know. I don't know how that works. Okay, I did something wrong here. Yeah, so I do go in and look at a bunch of different pictures. I'm always afraid that I'm going to end up, that's one of the reasons why I start off without copying exactly a reference, unless it's my own photo, because I don't want to do what someone else has done and use their work. So I will just look at a bunch of different references and then go to town. Now, if I'm trying to do something exact, like a face, then I will go in and take that photo and sketch it out and put all the proportions, not the proportions, the features in the right spot. So I don't come up with something that doesn't look like the person I'm trying to paint. But I find it easier for me to just do it this way. And then if I need a reference, I'll go find it after. I don't love that there's 4 there now, but I feel like these are all, I wanted something a little bit more, so I might have to do, this feels very uneven to me. Let's just do a little one down here. Maybe another little one over here. That might be too much, but I feel better about it. Okay. It's okay. All right, I'm gonna let this go dry. I'm gonna let this dry for a few minutes. And then I'm still not using this teal. And I really want this teal in here. Let's put a little in here. And just blend it in. Yes, yes, yes. I get a little water so I can blend it in a little bit more. Yeah. Oh, some of that green came out too. That's pretty. Let's put a little teal and white. Mostly white. Here, under its neck. Ooh, that's pretty. Maybe a little in its face. Okay. I want to make sure that my brush is really very kind of wet so that I can put in some of these highlights in here. I'm going to go ahead and stick a few in here, and then instead of trying to highlight what I've already got there, I'm going to go ahead and do it here, and then I'll go back over it and then cover up a lot of the highlight, letting a little show. I think that's easier for me than trying to put a really thin line. We'll see how that works. That's my theory anyway. I feel like this needs a little bit of an anchor here. There's some of that teal. This too. That looks better. All right, I'm going to do a little more of this. And I don't want to do too much, like I always do. Like I'm doing. I want this to kind of go off, like just fade into this section and not cover that up. Don't want that. Let's anchor that a bit more. Maybe put a little hint of a shadow of this stuff. So I'm just doing some dark, kind of copying these lines here, but very spread out. So you don't really see it, you just see a little bit of the shadow. I'll mix it over here with a little blue. There. This too is kind of the legs in the water. Let's put a little blue and teal in between those little marks where the legs go in the water. Put a little blue around here. I'm going to get a little water so it blends in a little bit better. Little blue over here. And that's as far as I'm going to go right there. Okay. I think that's looking pretty good. Oh man, I just spilled some water. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I need to put some more into the grass and do another layer on this bird. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit because it is in some sections not completely dry. And I think what I'm going to do, and I'll just tell you when I'll do this, I'm going to give it a few minutes to dry, and then I'm going to seal this because I don't want any of this to get wet and blend into the layers that I put on top. I want these layers to stay put. So if you've worked with acrylic before, you know that it reactivates with water. As you could see, it's good because it's easy for me to clean up. However, if I'm trying to put layers over this and I don't want it to shift, I'm going to take out that bright white spot there. That's better. I want these to stay as like shadows and depth behind what I'm painting. So in order to not shift the paint, I'm going to seal it, and then I'll do another layer on top of it. I don't know if that's the right way to do it. That's the way I do it. So I will be back in a little bit with a sealed piece, and we'll do another coat. Okay, I coated this with a matte gel medium. And I was thinking, I really like these greens in here. I was wondering if some gold would be cool. And I think yes is the answer. I like it. So let me see if I can. There's where the gold is, but it's really hard to see, I think, from where you are. But I like it. I'll try and do some photos after I'm done. Well, you know what? Yeah. What I like about this is that it gives you that shimmer without a hard line. So it's making it look fluffy. So that's a yes. I may go over that one more time. Okay, I wanted to try a little bit of gold. And of course I kept going. So I need to stop now. And I think that'll be a really good detail. Although I might want to use a more solid gold if I can find one. But right now, I want to add some really thin lines in here before I go back and put the lighter colors on top. So they'll be like shadows like here. And I'm letting my brush is kind of not a great brush, but that works here because it looks like hairs or feathers. I'm gonna put a few here because I don't want his outline to be perfect. There, that looks cool. I might want to add a little bit of black to just go under here, and I still have to do his eye. However, I have not decided yet whether I'm going to finish that off with a pen. Okay, so this area I definitely want lighter. So I'm going to go back with a little blue and white. And I don't really want to go over the area I just did, but this needs to be more white. I think I'm going to wet this a little bit so it's thinner. And I'm going to go over those gray lines I just did. It looks more blended here than it does on the camera. Yeah, it definitely looks different. A little bit. I don't know if these birds are come in this color, but I like it. And it could just be the light shining off the birds. coat feathers. I know that there's probably a brush that would work really well for doing this. I don't have a lot of good brushes. So the way I look at that is I may not have the proper tools, but one day I will. And by the time I have all the proper tools, I will have learned what all the not proper tools do. And then in a pinch, I can create something. I don't know. I feel like when you use what you have and you learn on minimal supplies, I guess you could say. Okay. I think I'm going to do some more gold. This gold is very clumpy, but when I I'm trying not to get in my own way. I gave up talking. If you didn't notice, it's really hard to pay attention to what you're doing and paint. I mean, maybe that's just because I really don't know what I'm doing and I'm just trying to imagine it as I'm painting. Like, where would the shadows be and the colors and what I like and what I don't like. I'm just playing around and making mistakes and then trying to fix them. And that's how I learn anyway. I've never been anybody that really loves gold a lot, but I've been using it a lot for a while now. I like that. It is so hard. I definitely have to try and take a better, like, I think if I take photos, it might be easier to see this. I don't like that at all. Okay, I'm going to add a few little highlights to the water, just because now I have to. Everything else has gold, except the bird. And I don't think I'm going to put any gold on the bird. Maybe a little gold in the eye. Maybe I can get my gold pen out and just do a little bit on the eye. Okay. Yeah, I was going to do more highlights, but I kind of like that it's, you can see it. I kind of like it, that dark. I don't know. Sometimes I'll finish this and then come back days later and then start working on it. And sometimes it ruins it. And sometimes it makes it a lot better. So I don't know. We'll see. Okay, I decided to not go over everything, but some areas that I want. Like, this is a chrome pen. And so it's a much brighter gold, but I don't want it to look like I went in with a pen and outlined everything. So I'm just not doing all of the gold that I did here, but just in the gold I already did. I'm hoping this isn't too much. I just wanted to put like highlight where, I mean, it's all the gold is basically a highlight, but I just feel like it needs extra little accents. Plus, I kind of feel like this might have been a little too green, and that is helping. And I like that it's very thin. So I like it. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So there it is. Okay, now I just need to do the eye, and I want it to be very, well, here's a blue. I wonder if this is the right color. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to go in and just do a circle here because I want a little bit of, it's so tiny. And then I'm going to have to go find a really fine black marker. Need a micron. Okay, I got this one instead. Hopefully that's done enough. And I'm going to go under here. Oh, I hope this is dry. I'm going to go here where the beak. That's his nostrils. And I'm going to do his. So now he's got the tiniest bit of blue around his eye, or her eye, I don't know. There, now I've smeared around a little of the black. I want to make a little line there. So I just put a couple of dots, and I'm going to take some gray paint, and I flattened my brush, and I'm just going to go down the middle of the beak right there. Now, the only thing I don't love is this seems really kind of wide, but I think if I do the same thing under here, I can kind of make it seem like it's not so wide and blend it in. Okay, I know you probably couldn't see any of that. Okay. I don't know if it's done, but I think I'm ready to is my favorite part.
If you like this painting and you want it, keep an eye out on darlyssadesigns.net. I'll be posting it soon, but there's only one.
Okay, I'm done for now, I think.
I hope you enjoyed following along. If you did, please like, subscribe, comment, and I hope you all have a crafty, creative week. Thanks for watching.